Well, interesting that you asked this question because China is very, very much deep into DRC, into copper mines, into gold, into various infrastructural projects, and they are making a lot of money in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And I think recent reports suggest that the, there is a possibility that now the difference between Africa's engagement with China and the rest of the world is that China is really not necessarily concerned about the political stability whatsoever. What matters most to China has to do with the fact that they are guaranteed of constant flow of the resources to them, and period. That is it. Whether there is democracy, whether there is respect of rule of law or not, that is a secondary matter. In fact, China's adopt a non-interference policy framework, which is in some extent very good for African countries because nobody wants to be dictated what to do and what not to do with so many sanctions. But at the same time, if you have terrible leaders who are abusing, who are serial human rights abusers and all those things, and they are guaranteed stable source of funding from China, it has significant ramification on human development and human security within their countries.
Okay, wow, very interesting, Dinko. I won't keep you for much longer. Thanks a lot. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to talk again and maybe dig deeper into some of the countries specifically. So before I ask you the last question, I just want to ask you, what do you think is best? More U.S. involvement, less Chinese involvement. But since you just mentioned the difference in how China and the U.S. approaches the continent and their interests, any other differences between the two that you think are worth mentioning?
Well, the other difference is that China is willing to fund infrastructural projects that Western countries may see as not viable in Africa. So they are willing to fund huge stadium construction. They are willing to fund huge road infrastructure and all that. And that has been really, really helpful in in Africa, because the problem in Africa has to do with the lack of funding to finance infrastructure development. And no country, no continent, no group of people can develop without having access to sustainable or having access to infrastructure. And China is doing that more than what the US or Europe likes to do, especially in this past 2 decades. And I can tell you for sure that uh, in the last decade, most of the hydropower electric dams that has been built in Africa have been built by Chinese. And these meant that millions of people have access to electricity. It means hospitals can keep their ventilators running. It means also that students could read at night. This is something that most African countries have been asking for international funding from World Bank and other Western countries, but they never got it. And so China's willingness to fund infrastructure project in Africa is quite distinct from the West.
That's very true. That's very true. So, okay, so yeah, going forward, what do you think could be potentially best case scenario for the continent?
I think that African leaders need to sit down and re-examine their relationship with outside powers. Now, I think that it is important Africans are able to take advantage of both sides and leverage on the fact that China is now a competing power in Africa to be able to achieve it ends with Western diplomats. So I see China's presence in Africa as double-edged sword. At one end, it is an opportunity for African countries to be able to renegotiate terms of relationship with the rest of the world. But at the other end, I also think that the relationship often tend to be exploitative with Western powers and China alike. So it is important that African countries are able to re-evaluate these relationships and put the interests of their people at heart, and take advantage of how these great powers are competing on the continent over their attention.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Dinko. And so I'll link to your article in the description box. I believe you also have a Twitter, if I'm not mistaken. So
Correct.
I'll link to that. Anything else you would like to add before we wrap up this interview?
Well, I absolutely think that China continue to be a major will continue to be a major power in Africa in the next decade, and it is up to African countries to take advantage of their presence to constructively develop their countries, rather than depend entirely on. It's not an either or debate. It's not a west or
Mm.
east thing. It's about finding which sphere is willing to support you in your economic and human development agenda.
Yeah, very well put, Dinko. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us again, Dinko, and thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like the content, and we'll see you in our next video. Thank you.